Alright, so let's take a look at the design of the Sony Xperia Z2. Again, a 5.2-inch display, full 1080p resolution that's good for 424 pixels per inch. This has that tri-luminous technology which gives us an LCD screen with a very rich color gamut. It's about 50% better than a standard IPS display. So you can see we have excellent off-axis viewing with really rich colors that kind of resembles the vividness of an AMOLED display. Up top we have one of the cameras. This is a 2.2 megapixel camera which is good for 1080p video at 30 frames per second. You also have your Sony branding. As you can see here, as I bend it into the light, you can see the cutout or shadow here of the proximity sensor and ambient light sensor. Up top you also find your earpiece which is integrated into the bezel. This earpiece is part of the stereo speaker system. If you look down here, you'll see the other stereo speaker which is also your mouthpiece. Now we have a blank space here, and that's because we have on-screen Android controls in this case on the Sony Xperia Z2. So all of them are on screen, and as you can see they're also translucent here, so you do get some background behind your buttons as opposed to a black bar. Now integrated, if you look at the back, you can see we have this all white glass back panel while the front is all black. It's very nice looking. As you can see, it's got a translucency here, so there's some depth to it. It's actually very similar to the iPhone 4 and 4S in terms of that design. You can see our Sony branding. We have our NFC sensor right there. We also have our camera lens. This is that Sony G lens with the Exmor sensor. This is a 20 megapixel sensor. It is completely flush here. Records video in 4K. Does not have optical image stabilization, only software stabilization. As you can see here, we also have our LED flash right below it. Now along the bottom edge of the phone, you'll see we have these three microphones which are drilled into this metal frame which surrounds the phone. So we have this nice rigid metal frame which also looks really sharp. You can see there's very little plastic here. The only plastic is surrounding the glass on the back and front. As you can see here, it's white to match the back panel. We also have the micro USB charging port. You could use the accessory instead. This allows the port to be exposed to water and dust while the micro USB port has to be behind the flap. So let's go ahead and pop open this flap here to show you the micro USB charging port, which also supports MHL, and we have a micro SIM tray right there. Now as you can see, the inside of this flap has a rubber gasket to seal out water and dust. Now at the top of the phone we have a waterproof headphone jack along with a noise cancellation microphone right up here. Now along the right hand side we'll find all of our buttons, which includes a dedicated camera key, which is a two-stage button, one for focus and one for shutter release. We also have our volume rocker. As you can see here, it's curved, and that's right next to our very prominent center mounted power or sleep wake button. Again, we have this flap here for covering up the micro SD card slot. Now these support 128 gig SD cards, so you can expand storage considerably here. Alright, so let's take a look at the user interface, starting with the lock screen. So we tap the lock button along the side. You can see we can swipe up from the bottom to launch the camera app. Now alternatively, you can just tap and hold the camera shutter release on the side to launch the camera app, which is also very handy. Now on the lock screen we get this kind of neat unlock effect. As you can see, when you swipe your finger across the screen, the wallpaper responds and changes color for you. You can swipe to unlock it. Now if you go to the home screen here, you can see we have our home screen, our main home screen, but you can pinch in and out to edit your home screens. Now in the upper left corner you have this little icon, so if you want to select one of these home screens to be your home screen, you can do so by selecting it. It turns white or black if it's just one of the other home screens. You can also delete the home screens, as you can see in the upper right corner, like so, or you can add new home screens. Now down here you can add widgets, apps, wallpapers, and themes. If you go to your widgets here, you can select a widget you might want to add, such as Google Now, which is very useful. You can resize it like so. Add apps, same way. For example, if you want to add the alarm clock. You can also set your wallpapers. So you have lots of wallpapers. You can go from the album, your photos, your live wallpapers that are available to you, and all the ones that come pre-installed with your device. You also have your themes. So as you can see here, Air is the default theme, but you also have Earth, Heat, Silk, Sunny, and Vintage. Or you can go up here to change your themes from the Sony Select store. So you can download additional themes, and you can see there's lots of them. Now once you've dropped your apps into the home screen, you can see you can move them around. You can't do so until you've actually dropped them or added them. Now for example, if you want to delete them, all you have to do is drag it down here. As you can see here, you get this little animated trash can, and it deletes it for you. Again, let's do this one as well. There you go. Now we also have our drop-down notification shade. So as you can see here, we have all of our expandable notifications, which you can swipe to close or clear all. Now we also have this quick settings toggle up here, and as you can see here, when you swipe between them, you can just select them as well. So you can see them up here. So we have shortcut settings, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth location, Wi-Fi hotspot, throw, which is kind of like an AirPlay function, which I'll show you. We also have auto rotate and brightness. You can go up here to edit what appears in that screen as well. So you can see we have quite a few others, which include our sound controls, airplane mode, roaming, auto sync data, NFC technology, stamina mode, which I'll show you, screen mirroring, and LTE. So you can just add these if you prefer, like so. In fact, you can pretty much add all of them. There is no limit here. Now some of these act as toggles. So for example, if you want to turn on Wi-Fi or turn off Wi-Fi, some of them will actually leave the control panel, like brightness, which I don't particularly like. So you can see here I have to go back to that shade to get access to quick settings. Now alternatively, you can also use a two-finger gesture to get to those quick settings. Now if you want to get to the control panel, which these items originate from, such as your display, so if you tap and hold brightness, it takes you to your display settings panel. Now in terms of these Android keys, we have back, home, and recent apps. So under recent apps, you can see that the recent app launcher is pretty familiar. It's not dramatically different. You can tap the app to launch it, or you can swipe it out of the way to close it. But we also have something called small apps, which you can rearrange or delete. So you can see this includes things like a calculator. So it gives us a little mini app that floats around. It allows us to interact with stuff in the background. Also here, you can actually folder these apps as well. So for example, if you tap and hold this YouTube app, we can either take it to the home screen. So as you can see, I took it up to the home screen, or I can cancel that. So you can see it doesn't delete it, it just prevents you from dropping it onto the home screen. But if you want to manage your apps within the app drawer, all you have to do is move them around, drag them over each other, and create the folder. As you can see, it's very simple. You can go up here to edit and change the folder name and that sort of thing. So all very simple. Now if you tap and hold the power button, you get the option to power it off, airplane mode. You can also mute it, set it to vibration mode, or return it to normal volume. But you can also take a screenshot, which is very useful here. Does a little screen grab, and you're all set. Now let's take a look at some of the Sony apps, including the Walkman app. Of course, this is a Sony product. You have to have a nice music app in here. So you can see everything is categorized by artists, songs, albums, and playlists. We also have SenseMe, which will automatically kind of categorize music depending on your moods, such as daytime, energetic, relaxed, upbeat, mellow. Now let's go and play a song here. You can see I have one song here that has been preloaded by Sony. The camera app, which you can activate by tapping and holding the dedicated camera key. So when you half press the key, it focuses for you. If you full press, it takes the photograph, like a very traditional point-and-shoot camera. You can snap a photo as well by tapping the screen here. It focuses for you. You can also pinch in and out to zoom, or tap anywhere on the scene to adjust the exposure and focus. You can also record video. Now when you're recording video, as you can see here in stabilization mode, it actually crops it. You can zoom in and out while recording video. You can take photos as well, or stop the recording. Now we also have our settings here. Right now I'm in superior auto mode, as you can see right here. So those settings are dependent on what mode you're in. So I can change, or I can toggle off geotagging. I can auto upload, touch to capture, use the volume keys for zooming. The shutter sound, I can disable it. I can also change my storage from internal storage to the SD card slot. Lots of options here. Same for the video mode. Now what you see in auto mode is that you don't have resolution options. So if you want to change that, you actually have to go to a different mode here. These are actually more like apps instead of modes. So for example, we have our manual mode and we have our 4K mode. So you can go to manual here. Now under manual, if I go to my settings, I now have the option to change my resolution. So under manual, I can go all the way up to 20.7, but under superior auto, I'm stuck at 8 megapixels. That means when we zoom in, it can actually crop the sensor as opposed to cropping the image. So you get higher quality images when you're zooming with this camera. Now when you're in manual mode, you can see here, so you can select between still mode and video mode. If you go to your settings here, you can see we can also enable steady shot. Steady shot actually does a very nice job stabilizing the image without optical image stabilization. It's completely software and it works extremely well. So I can be outside walking my dogs and it looks very steady. It's actually a lot like using a